99th board meeting of Patriots Point Development Authority on board the USS Yorktown at Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. And I just say to all of you, welcome, and I will turn it over to Larry to go forward. But ladies and gentlemen, it's just an honor to be here. Please, I'm new and I might stumble a little, but we're Darwin and all the people will give me an order, Wayne. So here we go. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I look forward to working with the board and making good progress in the years to come for Patriots Point.
Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item up on the agenda for today is the approval of the agenda, and so I'll turn it back to you for if there's any motions to adjust from board members.
I move for approval of the agenda as published.
Second.
Approved?
Mr. Chairman, next item is the approval of the previous minutes. Has all the board members had the opportunity to review the minutes? Are there any adjustments or corrections?
Move to accept as presented.
Second.
Approved?
With that, Mr. Chairman, the next item, item C, is the committee reports, and I would like to start with Museum Education and Overnight Camping Committee, led by the Education Museum Director Keith Kowalski. And so, Keith, you're on.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have the opportunity to present in front of the board. Talking with our executive director, we felt it would be really good to bring you up to speed as to it's perfect timing to show where the department started, where we are today, and the justification for this new path that we're going to be proposing over the next 6 months. When I started in 2010, we had one program, a history science program. In 1 year, we hired one employee. We reached 1% of all the counties and 4,000 students. The program got a big kick in 2014 when we received an appropriation. And this appropriation allowed us to build this new model for education to be able to use the unique assets of the ship to make it potentially available to every student in the state, as we would say, to make it relevant. Through the EIA, what we did was we created a distant learning program that focused on the 5th grade. We're on a ship, so we get a little bit of pleasure. It was based on a literacy program, 3 math concepts, ordered pairs, simple calculations, and plotting. Professional development, we're in our 10th year now of having teachers stay on board for 2 days, and we basically work with our curriculum. They tell us what problems are existing out there, and that allows us over the summer to adapt this program. Heavy on technology, which I'm going to show you, the AR, the VR. It's a wonderful program. To show you the impact of where it's gone, this is our 2-book reading series. In 2014, when we first wrote the books and published them, we were able to produce, by 2015, 30,000 books. If you look at the scale, in 2017, we were able to reach every student in the state. This year, we published 160,000 books, which were distributed to every student in the state. To show you how our mission is to safeguard the use of state funding, the appropriation has never been increased. It's a set level. So in the first year, we did the books, we published the books, we've increased it. We now allow over 13,000 students, 5th grade students, to come here for free. And this year, that will represent 60 counties. So they will be from the 60 counties that are marked in red. So we go from 1% now to 6%. We go from 160,000 books to over 13,000 that are coming here for free.
Keith? Keith? 60% of all the counties, not 60 counties?
60% of all the counties, right. 60% of all the counties. So today, these are our numbers for the department. This is where we are at right now. The EIA, we have 61,000 5th graders that are technically participating in the program. We have the Flight Academy. That's within the education budget. If you look at the department, we have 3 budgets, and you'll understand. It's the EIA, education, and overnight camping. Flight Academy right now is falling under the education budget. EIA is its separate money because it's restricted funds. Overnight camping, that's our goal for this year, and we feel really confident with marketing and sales, that they're really honing in on it, that we will get back up to the 19,000 number. Educational tourism programs, we're also working with marketing. They're expanding the public side of it. We handle more of the student groups. That's the idea that we would like to focus in on. And then we do our symposiums. So that is the education program and all the various components that we have to deal with. These it's just an example of all the tools that we use. So where are we going forward? We're in the process of working right now with the legislatures, the governor's office, and everything. We're seeking an additional appropriation, and it's for the 2021 fiscal year. It's going to be based on three very distinct parts. The first one is the Medal of Honor and the citizenship. So this is something that we're developing, working with them in collaboration with them. With the Medal of Honor Society, with the recipients themselves. We will have on-site in the classroom programs. It's based upon the same model that I showed you that we did with the EIA. We hope to be able to offer it free to any student that comes up here, up to a cap of approximately 50,000 students. So now you look at space issues. We're already tapped out with the EIA. We can't, with the space that we're going to. So it's going to be a very interesting challenge for the department. We have, as I'll show you, all sorts of different ideas. The great thing about citizenship is it hits all grades. It's an ELA standard from kindergarten up. And what we can see is we don't teach enough citizenship into our students, so it fits into it. So there'll be a future literacy component which we hope to develop books, much like what we do for the 5th grade. The other one will be the Flight Academy. We'll push in it. It's multi-programs now, but this is another thing that we'll be pushing in on a growth as we see it. Literacy in math, career awareness. This is the American Airlines, the Lockheeds. They're all backing us. It's probably one of the greatest underused tools that we have on board the ship right now. Future learning distance, to take this once again into the classroom for those students that can't get here. And then there's expanding on the education center. As we all know, space is at a premium on board the ship. What I'd like to show you is some of the, come on baby, yikes. Hey Cole, how come I can't get the, I can't find my mouse?
I don't know. I would exit out and then go back into it.
Let me see, okay. It was funny, we know that this worked.
There it is.
There we go. We'll just stick there. This is our 3D technology that we're working with.
Screen.
Yeah, so I exit out of the PowerPoint.
Yes, sir. You have to drag it over. It's seeing a second screen now.
Where do I have? Oh, there it is.
Oh, wow. Three-dimensional.
Yeah, the problem is I can't see it on this screen.
Just, you have to manipulate from, act like it's a Tesla.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it. Cole, you think you can come up in this minute? It's just,
That's it. Yeah, there you go. It was just on the screen a second ago. You're gonna have to watch that screen up there, where it's at.
tell me when I'm, oh there, I got it now. Okay, good.
Sit down. There's an upstairs piece. It's right off.
So we have the ability through virtual reality and through 3D plotting. We've done this with submarine, we've done this with the engine room, with the B-25, we've done it with the Medal of Honor. But this is, what you're looking at is the harbor room, underneath the harbor room. I can click on this, it will show you, well, anyway. But you can take a virtual reality tour, and these are all the various spaces within the space below the harbor room. Now, what we would like to do education-wise is every one of these little cubbies here, we've got a nice machine. We'd like to put the machine in there. We'd like to put a submarine simulator. But then you've also got this wonderful space in here that can be used for multiple purposes. This used to be the nuclear engineering, the shipyard and the nuclear submarine exhibit. So we're working with operations to figure out how much it would take to actually turn the space into a viable space. Anyway, but the nice thing about this, once again, about this technology is we can do any space right now and create a virtual reality tour. And we've already done it for the submarine. We've already done it for the B-25. Anyway, any questions? And that's where we are.
Members, any questions for education? Thank you, Keith.
Very nice.
Mr. Chairman, the only committee that did meet this week was Development Committee, so I will turn that over to Mr. Adams.
And our report will be in executive session, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. With the Development Committee report will be in executive session, so we'll go to Operations and Facilities with Mike Hastings, Director of Operations.
Good morning, Mr. Hall. My name is Mike Hastings, and I provided you a handout with the topics I'm going to cover this morning. It'll be far less extensive. I'll just hit the wave tops, just a snapshot, just past mid-year of what we're getting after, and then what we've accomplished over the last 6 months. Very, very briefly, the top of the list is the hangar bay lighting and power upgrades. So there's 4 facets to that, and won't cover in detail each one of those, but it's an extensive project that will last approximately 12 months with all of our electricians, all hands. Currently, the top notch right there, the top bullet is the pier generator. So currently we have a 100 kW generator on the pier for emergency situations whenever we lose power. And primarily that powers the handicap elevator aboard the ship in case we lose power while we're open. That's underused. So the last 3 years we've had hurricanes Irma, Matthew, and Dorian. We realize that when we have to have stay aboard folks, and we have no power, they're running off of 5 kW generators just to have a fan or a coffee pot. So we're going to utilize that pier generator and heat and cool primarily and provide power up to one of the berthing areas. So when we have upwards of 12 to 14 folks stay aboard for a period of up to 3 days, they actually have running water and they can stay in a berthing area instead of sleeping in the hangar bays on cots, things of that nature. Next is the emergency lighting circuit. So if you walk through the hangar bays and you look above your head, you'll notice that there's an extensive bank of array of light fixtures. The original to the ship, there were 2 circuits for that. One powered 3 light bulbs on a ring on the outside, and the center light bulb was on a different circuit. And that was, again, for evening operations. That was a red light bulb. We're going to utilize that, tie it into the emergency power, so if we do lose ship's power, that center light will come on, not red, but it'll be white, and the entire hangar bay will be lit. The hangar bay cable installation. So from aft to forward, all 3 hangar bays. If you look above your head again, you'll see that there's just a spaghetti of old Navy power cables, IT cables. It's inefficient. It's not safe. We're going to get rid of the old, consolidate them into 2 cable trays running forward to aft. It'll be easier to maintain, and we'll also update our systems as we go. And last, the mods to the LED lighting. Frankly, what that involves is the ability to dim or completely shut off each hangar bay individually. So an electrician who's on duty for a special event, or if we're doing, let's say, a symposium, something along those lines, we can actually dim the lights instead of completely cutting them off. So that's, again, about a year-long project. The next is a cargo elevator renovation. Whenever we have an event aboard the ship, and we have about 300 per year, very small, maybe 12 folks up to 500 type large events, reunions of that sort, we'll do load-ins. We do load-ins every single day for Coke or for Top Shelf. They utilize the hoist or they utilize our handicap elevator to bring things in the hangar bay. It's not efficient, and that elevator, that's not what it's designed for. It's designed for the personnel, and it gets abused. Some thought went into this, and what we're going to do is actually, the intent is to bring all the load in forward, utilize an old 2,500 pound cargo elevator that's currently just outside the science lab, just off of gangway number 1. Create a gangway so the Coke truck or the Top Shelf delivery or whomever drives forward on the pier, loads in there, brings it up to the hangar deck, and then of course we can use the existing 16,000-pound bomb elevator to go up to the flight deck as well. This will alleviate a lot of things. This will alleviate folks from abusing our handicap elevator, getting away from the old hoist system. We know we're still going to use that as a backup,
Right.
but then, quite honestly, probably about half of the time that we rent a crane, we can eliminate the use of that as well. So that's an enduring project, about 18 months. We budgeted about $42,000 for that just this year alone. So that will be enduring. The Pride Flag restoration, that's in concert with, it's funded by the Yorktown Foundation. That's ongoing right now. That's up on the aft end of the island on the 07 level, and that's the primary flight control of the ship when they used to land and recover aircraft and launch aircraft. So that was in poor condition. It's been stripped out as of right now. It's got its first coat of primer, and it will be finished painting by next week. That's just step one. Next is in conjunction with Museum Services, and the curator will go ahead and add chairs to that and some other screens over the course of the next year. The island extension restoration. As you walk down toward the ship from the pier, and you look up and it's nice, freshly haze gray, you'll notice this one strip that's still kind of that milky white.
Right.
That's painting that strip and then also the underside of it. Until we finished gangway number 2 restoration, we couldn't get after that. So we'll actually have folks, it's called the spider lift. It's very similar to what you see people who are changing out windows or cleaning windows on a large building. They'll get underneath it, anchor themselves, and scrape away all the old paint and then restore it and paint it with new stuff. I'm not going to hit, unless you, well, I'll briefly touch on the last 30 days of projects that we completed. The mobile cofferdam construction. That is a small 10 by 9 by 4 foot width cofferdam that we're going to do sea trials this spring. It's a 2-man device that we're going to attach to the ship, hopefully. And what we'll do is we'll restore the most critical areas in the forward 19 frames of the Yorktown, just to stop the hemorrhaging, the free open communication of water between the ship and the harbor. Gangway number 2 restoration. If you've walked up gangway number 2, you've realized, you've seen it, you can tell how freshly painted that looks. All the step treads were completely replaced, and that platform has got a nice fresh coat of non-skidding. And then the LED conversion project. All 5 tour routes and all hangar bays went from fluorescent to LED. It was about a 4-month-long project, and that will reduce our total wattage consumption by about 39% over the course of a year.
Mike, when will we see that rebate?
So I just submitted the paperwork for that about 2 weeks ago when we finished the project. The immediate rebate, the total project cost is about $17,000. We'll get $6,000 back immediately just for entering into this program. And over the course of the year, we may hopefully save over a full calendar year with this project about $70,000 off of our energy bill. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Any board members, questions for operations? Mr. Chairman, with permission, I failed to include Museum Services with the education brief, so if I could jump back up and
Please.
have the interim director, Robert Simmons, give an update on Museum Services.
Thank you.
Robert, just quickly, what's going on with Museum Services?
All right. Chairman, good morning, everyone on the board. Welcome back, Norman. Robert Simmons, the Deputy Director of Museum Services. Just wanted to give you a quick update. We've been diligently working on the B-25 restoration. Still looking for some funding to continue on phase 3 and 4. Since August, we've been working on the tour routes, going through and kind of freshening them up and putting new paint on the bulkheads and the walls and the decks and everything. We have been trying to get a determination on the M60 tank, which Columbia has been trying to send down here. And there's still a decision to be made because of the cost of bringing it here, restoring it, and then also too with the Mike Bennett renovation starting, it may be put on hold.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the issue is when we start construction, for the new parking lot to come off the pier, and you look at the Vietnam experience, the new parking lot will be off to the right, back by the laydown yard and on the road access in. And then to move customers to our location, will be along the Vietnam experience. We'll take in real estate. And so we're working through how are we gonna move customers from the parking lot onto our ticket office and then onto the pier. And their tentative drawings have them cutting through the Vietnam experience. And the discussions are, do we just include that and open that to the public and not try to control the Vietnam access? Obviously, with the items in there that are pilferable, how do you control that as well? So before we add an item into the Vietnam experience, yes, Bennett Hospitality has a responsibility to relocate that exhibit somewhere else and pay for it. Right now, the estimates are around $50,000 to bring a tank in here, and so it does not make good use of taxpayer dollars to come in and place a tank right now and then have to relocate it and build another location for it until this is determined where the Vietnam experience will end up. So that is where we are with that. So I just asked for, it's been a continuous carryover from all meetings, but it's a hold on the M60 tank, which weighs about, how many tons?
About 60 tons, about 57 tons dry.
So,
And we're looking at a budget of about $30,000 to put it in place and then having to move it all over again.
Where is it located?
it's currently at Camp McGrady up in Columbia, South Carolina. And it is part of the loan program. We are authorized to have 3 items on loan from the National Guard. We have 2 of the 3 right now, Robert?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so this was another item, and it's an annual renewal with the National Guard that we signed saying, hey, we would like this item, and that has just been going on. So the 2 items we've renewed the lease on. We have not executed on the tank yet, just based on the cost, site prep, and then possible relocation.
But we could get the tank after the renovation.
Yes, sir.
And last but not least, we've the Yorktown Foundation actually has the funding secured for the new Vietnam dog tag wall. So it's a totally different concept. Actually, I've included that in the report that we can actually get to you with the renderings from one of the, was it Seaman Whiteside?
Correct.
So we have the full funding for it. We just have to identify locations to make sure it will not interfere with Mike Bennett's renovations and that it will stay there. All right, so thanks to the foundation. Ready to go?
Do we need a motion on the tank? It keeps coming up, and I'm not sure we've given staff a real clear board level direction if you could use one. It sounds like delaying that with so many moving parts. And once you settle a tank down, you're kind of done for a while, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My recommendation back to the board is just to suspend trying to get a tank here until we have final disposition of where the Vietnam experience, and not spend any money on a tank exhibit until, one, we know where the Vietnam experience will go and it will fit. And so we'll just go back to National Guards and just say,
Right.
at this time, it is not in Patriots Point exhibit experience.
Right.
It's not a no, but right at this time, we do not care for the tank, would be my recommendation to the board.
Would we lose the tank if we said that, Larry?
Do you know if anybody else is asking for it?
No one, because of the condition, we have to restore it.
More money.
It looks like something out of a salvage yard. So, if once we move everything, if there's actually two or three out there right now, and I picked the one that was in the best condition, and it still needs about $15,000 worth of renovations. So, once
Or they're on the
everything,
side of the road with a sign, best deal on tanks or something. I mean, where do these things sit? At the National Guard? Really? Wow.
it's in an enclosed pit. Go ahead, Pat.
Does it have to be demilled?
Actually, it just got finished. They actually, was it May, the end of May of last year? It was just finished, and they said we could come get it. However, this is when all the plans came up for Mike Bennett, and we want to kind of put it on hold and see if it's going to fit into our new Vietnam Experience exhibit once we come up with a rendering on that. So.
Sounds like the executive director's advice is the advice we ought to take, whether we need board action or not. I don't know, but I certainly agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. And if we decide we need it, I'm more than happy to drive back to Columbia and beg for another one.
It's fine. Larry, are you happy with that?
I can execute, I can reach out to the National Guard, say thank you. It's not in Patriots Point's interest at this time. We'll reach out to you in a couple of years once we know what the final disposition will look like for the Vietnam experience and if it's a fit. So I don't think I need a board action. I think we can circle back to the National Guard and just say no thank you at this time.
All right.
Okay.
Move on.
Thank you, Robert. Finally,
That's my report.
Thank you, Robert.
Royce, Finance. Or is it, sorry, Mr.
Pat,
Rogers.
I
Pat?
think
We
we met
got
earlier
it
this
together.
morning, and
Oh, you want to do it?
you can go ahead and go over it, and if there's any questions,
Okay.
I'll be glad to answer.
This is a 6-month report, and I know you all don't have a copy of it, but
But we'll get copies to all the board members
there's,
for you.
yeah, there's available, but we've got $4,852,000 in cash and cash equivalents. Operating activities, interest income $282,285 for the fiscal year. Cash on the capital reserve remains at $4,569,000. Total operating revenues $5,500,900, and the operating expense July to December was $5,421,000. Income before depreciation July to December 2019 $79,000. I recognize that our operating expenditures are higher than what they were the year before. But as you go through the numbers of each thing, we are progressively ahead. The numbers, the head count is higher, the camping attendance is higher, admission revenues, although that we've had this kind of strange summer, winter, we've remained ahead in this year as compared to last year. We're $4,279,000 as compared to $4,014,000. Going through the entire the accounting, we seem to be very, very much ahead, but we still are prepared for if things turn south, which they say the next 3 months they will begin to, the attendance will begin to drop off. We're still well covered. All of the departments have reported that they're a little bit below their budgets, so that's good. And we should be able to carry on at least for another 20 years. No, it's a very favorable report, in my opinion. Royce, do you have something you want to add to that?
You know, like what you're saying, I mean, right now, through the end of December, we're doing fine. It's a lot better than we were last year or 2 or 3 years ago. You know, the one thing that, I've talked about, and I've even mentioned it to some others, but for the next 3 months or the next 2 months, what you're going to do is you're going to see where that net income of roughly $80,000, you're going to see at the end of January what we see every time this year. Wayne's familiar with it because he's been around for a while. It's just going to drop off, and we'll show net loss for end of January, February. Then you're going to start to see eating into that loss March, April, and May, June. Those are March, April, May, June, those 4 largest revenue producing months other than July, and they just come at the end of the fiscal year. Plus, in the second half of the fiscal year, you're going to see with Keith and them, the camping program will start to really take off, and you're going to see that revenue really increase over the next 6 months also. So,
But with the slight increase in the price that we've made and the slight increase in numbers of persons, we seem to have been offsetting this.
yeah, I mean,
We've been softening
we're
the
doing
effect.
fine. I mean, we're well within our budget. You got to remember, if you're looking at comparing last year to this year, there's only 2 line items. It's personnel, floor contributions, which ties back to personnel, but it's less than what we budgeted for this year. So, we're tracking along with the budget, really good right now. I mean, like I said, we met with everyone, was it last week, and everyone's budget's in good shape through December.
That's
So,
the fiscal year.
yeah. So again, the only thing that I would add is for the next couple of months, you're going to be seeing that figure from the 80,000 drop down. You know, it's been as much as $1 million in February, but by the time June comes around, we're back showing, we're positive again, showing positive net income.
It's all good. That would conclude my report, sir.
Mr. Chairman, next item is the Executive Director's report. So, I apologize to those who did, Darren, I will get you a copy of the draft 5-year strategic plan. After reviewing in our Saturday sessions with Bill Craver and Bill Hall, the chairman, we went through our values we had listed in the 5-year strategic plan. Originally were honor, serve, and inspire. Going back and looking at our charter through legislation, my recommendation back to that is change our values to honor, educate, and inspire, because of the huge education aspect that is listed in legislation for Patriots Point to be a place of education for those. So I will modify, if there is no objection, go back and modify that, move serve to educate. So again, our new values would be listed as honor, educate, and inspire on the strategic plan. And then we'll also like to share a draft, since we do have a Patriots Point very foci strategic plan. I'd like to include the draft Patriots Point land strategic plan that talks about the best use of the 400 acres here at Patriots Point and how to do that. That was drafted by Bill and his team. And so they'll marry each other and complement each other, so we understand the business aspects of how to generate the revenue from the land use, as well as how's that tied into keeping the Yorktown Laffey experience here at Patriots Point the focus, along with all the other developments that are going on. Bill, if you had anything like that?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
So you will be getting attachments of the land strategic plan, and again, another draft for your comments to review. And I look for all feedback, and I'm also going to share that 5-year draft strategic plan with the volunteers. We have many retired corporate executives in our volunteers, and a lot of done strategic planning, just to see if there's something we've missed here, because I'm a friend of other people looking at our product and say, hey, this is something, if you thought about this, and taking all feedback with that. Next item, coming up in April, we've got the 75th anniversary of the Okinawa, and the Laffey reunion will be here. That would be their work party. We'll do those coordinations and continue to work with that.
What month is that?
It's April 16th. And so they'll be here for a week, and we'll make sure that we get that on the calendar, and I'll add that to the weekly update, highlight that. I've asked Jessica, she's our grants person here for the ship, to reach out to Homeland Security, and Mayor, we're working with the town of Mount Pleasant. As you think about the development that is going to occur here at Patriots Point, I asked her to look at the possibilities of getting a Homeland Security grant. Mike Hastings, Director of Operations, will tell you many times Coast Guard, law enforcement are asking for our videos, and we do not have harbor side. Am I correct, Mike? We don't have anything in the harbor, in the harbor. And asking Homeland Security to help with this with a camera system, a complete camera system that will incorporate the new development that will help us with the security here in the harbor and Riverside, that will aid law enforcement and Homeland Security, the federal, state, and local government law enforcement folks, as they do investigations or are looking for some footage, because a lot of stuff does happen on the water, and we're first time many stops for that, so we'll continue to look on that Homeland Security grant. Conversations and negotiations, a lot of this, some of this we discussed in the executive session, but I continue to be the point with the RDA and Friends of the Hunley as we look at, they are looking at their museum development program. Again, I'll join them in February in New Orleans, and they have hired a firm, and we're providing data. Again, there's 2 sites. They're looking at North Charleston and here at Patriots Point, and giving them the data so they have access to our 300,000 guests is what we use. And with that said, any questions from the board?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
You talked about the strategic land use plan. When was that adopted?
It was not adopted. It has not been adopted by the board. That's why I'd like to send it out to the board so they can look, review that plan and see what is, as we're talking about the different parcels that are out, as we continue to get down to the few parcels that are left, what is the best use of those parcels? And Bill and his team have come up with that. How long ago did you draft it?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, so it's been out there. And just, I thought it would be good for the board to review the land use plan as well as the strategic plan specifically focused on the museums.
Thank
With that,
If he's, I didn't see on the agenda the Yorktown, we have the Yorktown Foundation here with the end of the year report. If that would be acceptable to be called.
I can put a part, it's,
Sorry?
it's up to the chairman.
But
Let's proceed.
Allison
Yes.
and Mike Sedinza, we could call them to come up and make, how's Allison say? Could you just come up and review?
Well, I did send it, hello. I did send an email to everyone on the board that has our year-end report and an overview of all that we, excuse me, all that we've done in the last year and the projects that we're currently working on. So you have that, and if you'd like a fuller presentation, we can do that. That's.
I just think if you just give Bill just a quick outline of I don't know how much we do about that, but it's, could you just run through this quickly, or do I have it here, the copy?
I don't.
What if they did a presentation in February or
That's
March?
what-
Okay.
And I can do a PowerPoint for you and have a more
Okay,
formal
well, that'd be-
presentation. I would love to
Let's
do
put
that.
it on
Give them a
the
little
agenda for
background.
February, and let's do a complete report.
Okay,
This is a
wonderful.
big
Thank you
arm
for
of
the
the
opportunity.
program. Okay, thanks, Bill. Thank you. Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, next item is public comment.
Any public comments?
No public comment.
Executive session?
Let's adjourn the executive session.
I move that we proceed to, if you're finished, that we proceed to executive session for the purposes stated on the agenda, which I believe, I'll ask point of order, aren't we supposed to read those in the motion?
Well, we say for contractual, legal, and personnel matters pertaining to Patriots Point Development Authority and its leases and personnel matters. Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
We need to vote.
Let's have a 5-minute read.
We vote,
We
all in
need to
favor,
vote.
aye. All in-
Excuse me?
Just vote on it, all in favor? Aye.
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 With that, Mr. Chairman, we'll take a 5-minute recess to reset and let the folks exit the room, and then let folks recharge their coffee.
Thank you. Thank you.
This Yorktown Foundation, I'm on that, but they work their ass off.
Let's have them do it.
Yeah, I thought she had come before. No, Wade's right.
Want a cup of coffee?
Still have to bring our own cups, these are those tiny.
Yeah. Everyone could request larger, real low.